Just look at the...
I say too dangerous.
I don't... There's two guys there.
I can't. Which way should I look? I'm in the corner looking at light.
Towards the calf camp.
I don't know where that is. Is that the corner of field?
It's directly north of us.
Okay, north. Which is?
Have you ever been in a situation like this, that your teammate calls out the cardinal direction and you don't even know where you're looking at? Do you have a hard time reaching cohesion with your team about which direction each landmark is? Are you mad about missing on juicy double kill and tick loot, just because your teammate slept during geography class? Worry no more, compass to the rescue, just for...
I can't continue this. Welcome to another Tarkov video. In the recent 12.8 patch, Battlestate gave us the compass, and today I'm going to go over what is the orientation of the maps and some thoughts and questions what it has raised in the community. You can check the different timestamps in the description or in the timeline at the bottom if I manage to make it work. So let's just start with the DLDW. So I have 3 points here. First, if you want to know where north is, use the compass. If you want to save money, or if you want to have all the maps orientated facing up north, you can either go to my recent Reddit post in the Escape From Tarkov subreddit, or join my Discord to get this infographic. Both of the links will be in the description. Second, the in-game maps don't have a consistency in terms of all of them being drawn north facing up or down. Again, use the compass on each map to verify which direction is the true north. Thirdly, interesting insights to consider with the new north is that Shoreline and Woods both have extract locations that are not named so that they play well with the new north, or the true north. Hopefully with the upcoming Woods expansion, we will see an improvement on this matter. So that was the DLDW, so now let's move on to the actual video. I arranged small of a quiz here. Basically you see community-made maps of all of the in-game locations. Some of these are already facing north up, some of them aren't. If you don't know yet what the true north is for each of these, take a note where you think the north is on each of the maps and see how well you do. How well did you know? Just take a mental note, no need to waste any paper on this. I've had and seen this conversation plenty of times about where the north is on each of the maps, and especially with Shoreline and Reserves, some people have come to the conclusion that Queen, the Dome, is the North Pole of Tarkov. Some even say that none of the cardinal directions make any sense in this game, and the compass is only pointing out that flaw. This video is meant to find out what is true in terms of cardinal directions and orientation of the maps. With the assistance of the compass, I believe we can come into some interesting conclusions. I have to put the disclaimer here though. If you don't want to change your view about where is north, by all means use the green compass arrow as north on some maps and red on the others. Good luck. I ask though at least reflect what it means if you do continue using wrong cardinal directions and using those in the public conversations. It's fine to be wrong in this matter, since cardinal directions haven't been really that commonly known previously, and I definitely had to have few maps where now I know that I was using the wrong orientation. Maps can be drawn without the north facing up. It's not common to do in a large scale, but quite common when drawing a map of a certain relatively small location like a building complex or something. Maps could be drawn so that they line up with the orientation of the buildings, instead of the north. So when the map doesn't have a cardinal rose in it, it's incorrect but also common assumption to assume north is up when it's not specified. Some of you may know already that most of the maps we did have a pretty good idea where north is without the implementation of the compass. So for some of you this video may work as a confirmation of the truth. I'm referring to a Reddit post from 2 years ago, in which we do have most of the maps orientated between themselves. Nikita himself has confirmed this as correct, and well, one of the goals of this video is to reflect how accurate this map is. Also at this point I need to say all of the information in this video is accurate as of 12.8. There may be some changes to the information later, and if you're watching this video in the future, it might be a good idea to validate that info for reasons I'll talk about later. So, with all of that out of the way, let's get into the actual meat of the video. We'll cover shortly how the compass works and move on to using it on each of the maps. So let's introduce how the compass itself works. There are two types of compasses in real life, not in Tarkov. There's one that is more familiar of type, and then there is the easier but more confusing type. I believe this latter type is called brunton compass. But basically the familiar compass has the regular north-east, southwest orientation printed on it, and the numbers from 0 to 360 go clockwise around the circle. You use this one by turning the compass so that the north-pointing needle is always on top of the marked north. After that, the numbers on the sides point to the proper azimuth angle. Then there is the weirder but easier compass. This one has the west and east flipped, and angle numbers reversed, so they go anti-clockwise from 0 to 360. This type of a compass you use so that the top of the compass, where the 0 is pointing at the target. Then the north needle on the compass will tell you what the actual azimuth number or cardinal direction is. The latter, brunton type of a compass is used in Tarkov, and I assume mainly because implementing the animation of turning the compass might have been a bit of a harder to do. Also, this type of a compass is easier to read, even though the game gives us the angle number in the bottom right. So let's start with customs. Here we are at the customs dorms. I think this is pretty recognizable location for most, so thought about using this one. So north should be that way as I checked earlier, but let's just pull it out for you. So here we go. North, that way of the dorms and customs. So here we have factory, and we pulled out the compass and could get an idea that we are kind of like in the southwest side of the map. So here we are in the office corridors. North that way, south this way. Getting back on top of this. Maybe we'll take the screenshot from top of here for the poster, but yeah, north that way. So here we are at the interchange in front of Ultra's main entrance. This should be kinda recognizable for most people. And here we are in front of the playground area. And I think I'll take the screenshot, yes, there we turn. So, compass out, here is north, and we're in front of the main entrance to Ultra. And we're on the west side of the whole place. What do you call them? Mall, I guess. So here we are in front of Keepa, Mantis on our front left, pointing out the north, this direction. So, this is how it's in the interiors. If you need that separated. I know, Interchange is kind of confusing maps every now and then, so would make sense to... Well, I just thought it would be nice to show what the north is outside and inside. And here we are on the reserve. We're on top of the white pawn, I think, yes, white pawn. And yeah, I think this helicopter and these black bishop, black pawn, white pawn is kind of recognizable. And king on our left. So here, north, facing this way, so dome / queen should be on our, or it is at our behind left. So dome / queen is on the south side of the map. Shocking, I know. So now we're on the shoreline. Here we have, let's try to climb on the helicopter here. The chopper. Get to the chopper. Yeah, I didn't even know that you could do this, but here we are. Figure it out. Let's just jump on the very top of it if I don't miss it. There we go. So, we have the west wing on the west, or right, left, and the east wing on the right, and it does add up with the compass, so we have the north right here. Shocking, right? They actually make sense. And here we are on the lab, or labs as most people call it. And we're about in the middle of the map here, and this is north, so we're kind of facing how I've understood is kind of like the main entrance for the whole thing, behind this round lab circle logo thingy. So yeah, there was the main entrance, I think, what they call it. And here is the manager's office, right? I haven't really played labs too often, but now we're running towards south, and this is the back wall with the elevators and the toilets and that. So yeah, that was labs. Anyway, here we are at the mill. Let's jump on top of this rock. At the woods, of course. And Red Rebel extract here on our right and the mountain. And here's north. So the lake is behind us. The general mill area in front of us, most of it. And yep, that was north. And last but not least, we have the hideout. And here we go, we're facing the firing range, and yep, there is north right there. This one is the most important, of course. So, there was all of the maps with the north. The quiz has ended. How did you do? The interesting ones for me, since I did see this original Reddit map earlier, the connecting the Tarkov map just before they actually did the podcast about the compass. So, were the customs and woods. Both of those for me used to be the other way around. That I used the north, dorms was north, the lake and woods was north. I've never really thought that these were the true north, but I didn't really question them either until I saw the original map orientation, the compass reveal during the podcast. This update basically was just a confirmation for me and for many of you, I assume, that this is the case. North is on this big map, the north is down. So in this section I've collected some of the interesting stuff we can now gather from all the maps, and since we know the north, what does it mean? And so let's start with Shoreline. Interesting thing about Shoreline is that we have a south fence passage. With the new north, it's confirmed that the south fence passage is actually at the northeast side of the map, northeast corner of the map. Has been somewhat uniformly agreed on Reddit, at least, that this basically means that the south fence is technically reserves fence and not Shoreline's fence, and then the naming of south fence actually makes sense. And I kind of agree with that point, that the doesn't make a whole lot of sense that the fence would be surrounding this kind of a resort area. It makes more sense that the military base would have a fence surrounding it, and the fence is the actually southern fence of resort. Reserve, not resort. Then, moving on to the woods. This is another one. Really interesting one. So, we basically figured out that the mountain extract, the Red Rebel extract, is at the north side of the map, and the lake is in the middle south. And woods have 3 different extracts that are named with the cardinal direction, and all of them are incorrect. So we have a west border by the CB16 bunker, kinda, at the edge of from the bunker. And yes, now it's on the east side of the map. Then we have the east gate, which was basically next to Double Loot Rock, and the other rock, basically between those, both of those rocks were a road, and the road led to East Gate, which is now on the west side of the map. Then there is the Red Gate / South V exit, which is on the north side of the map. This is basically north from the mill, and yes, now it's on the north side of the map. So I'm really hoping to see that names of these extracts will be changing with the upcoming Woods expansion, but it remains to be seen. Hopefully Battlestate does recognize this as a small of an issue to maybe get it fixed, because I don't know if it's the Shoreline South fence was still kinda explainable, but I don't know if we have an explanation for 3 of these in the same map like this. So, to me, this strikes as being a mistake. Moving on to the factory and confirmed map. this seems to be also an issue with the current north, is that the confirmed factory is basically placed between customs and woods, and since Nikita has confirmed that this is where factory would be, maybe it has changed a bit, but at least for now it seems like factory would have the north incorrectly, or the factory is not located in the specific building here. I don't know. It's an interesting one anyway, since it seems to be illogical how it is. And related to this one is also the interchange. In this one you can see idea was we already deemed to be north side of the map and only on the south side of the map, or south side of the whole ultra. And in this bigger map you can see that that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems to be flipped upside down. I have some footage here to take a look how much actually can see and confirm from the actual map, from the interchange and from the customs. So here we are on the interchange southwest tower. Here's Ultra, you can see it. We're kind of looking towards the outside borders of the map if we can see anything we recognize. Here at the top we can see, or north, we can see this towers. I'll talk about a bit later, but there you can see those. So yeah, here we have the southwest end of the interchange, and we cannot really see too much outside of the map. We see a building right there, but that doesn't really recognize to be the big red of customs or anything. So yeah, this is basically the side I would assume the customs should be at, based on the big map and based on the compass directions. And yeah, we only really have this train track going on here and don't really see anything related to being customs. Then, just for the check, we're also in the southeast corner in interchange. There's the same building we were looking at earlier. And yes, we're at the ramps of Oli. And that's how we were looking south there. And there's plenty of buildings around here. There are the towers again, the big towers in the distance. There's some big hall, something. There's another one, big building. Nothing there, but then there is another big warehouse type of a building. And with the big map and the compass, we shouldn't be seeing too much of customs from here, but I basically just went to check and make sure that maybe we would see it from here, but no, doesn't seem like so. Now we're on the north side on top of power by the interchange. Here's some kind of a landmark, and here, yes, we have the Ultra, back of idea, and there are the towers again. I believe these towers are actually the Tarkov itself, the streets of Tarkov, somewhere there in the north. That would add up in the map somewhat, and with the compass. So, yes, I believe those are the streets of Tarkov, or Tarkov itself, right there. Those are the warehouses again. So, here we are in customs. We are at the northeast side of the map, currently looking around to see if we can spot interchange, and what we do spot is a tower like this, and I definitely didn't see a tower like that from the interchange anywhere, so that is interesting. And now on the right side of the screen, now about to be in the middle, you can see that same towers that we saw from the interchange. Those two towers are north from both of these maps, customs and interchange, so that would kind of confirm that customs and interchange are placed like so how they were in the bigger map. So that seems to be right, but this specific building doesn't seem to be too much resemblance with the actual Ultra. Has this idea logo that is written differently than in the actual interchange, it seems to be. It is written in Russian, Cyrillic. Is it Cyrillic? I think it's Cyrillic. Anyway, it's written differently, it's the building, it seems different. So I don't know. Is that building supposed to be interchange, the Ultra? I don't know. For me, it seems like the building here might be a different idea. At least it definitely looks like a different idea. Interchange, anyway, the idea is on the north side of the maps, and we were on this. We should have been seeing the south side of interchange. We should have seen the Ali there and not the idea side of the interchange. Yes, all of this doesn't really add up too well here. The first reason why all of this doesn't really seem to be making too much sense is that that is not actually interchange and Ultra we're looking at, and it's just another idea. And the secondary explanation, I think, for this is that that is actually the interchange we're looking at, but it is just not using the same model. It has not been updated ever to be the same model. It is there to basically showcase this would be the interchange we all love and know. About those towers though, it seems like from customs they're just a tad closer than they are actually from the interchange. So that seems to be some kind of indicator also that this might not actually be the actual idea, but I don't know. It is somewhat interesting way some of the maps are drawn with north facing up, some of them are facing down, and still at this point it seems like there are some mistakes. Shoreline and Woods both have extracts that don't really add up with the new compass, and well, Factory seems to be flipped, and Interchange seems to be... I might be looking into Interchange too much than I should, and I don't know. Is that just a note that I would want to say at this point? Then, the last point that I would want to talk about in the game is the sun, and the sunsets and the sunrises of the game. And looking for sunsets and sunrises in Tarkov is kind of interesting, because I personally never have really actually seen the sun itself. It's more like just a light source coming from a certain direction. But anyway, we're going to check if it actually makes sense, if it's realistic, or is it consistent between the maps, or how does it work. And here we are on the customs map, currently looking at the sunset. We're looking into the southwest side of the map. Yes, it's the southwest side of the map where this sunset seems to be setting. It's not quite south, it's not quite west. So it's southwest where it seems to be setting the sun. And doing a bit of a time lapse here, and it seems to be getting darker and such, and the usual sunset getting more red and such. So customs, sun seems to be setting at southwest. Moving on to interchange, here we are in the middle of a road. It's dark. North is kind of behind us. South is kind of on the left front. And we're looking into the southwest again. It seems to be the direction where the most of the light is and the sun is setting to. And doing a bit of a time lapse to see if actually darkness changes. It doesn't change too much, but for me personally, I think it's good enough of a proof that the sun is actually setting in this direction. Then we have reserve sunset going on here. We are facing north here on the roof of King. There is Queen/Dome at the top, and the sun seems to be setting again into the southwest region or the area. So all of those three maps for now seems to be consistent. So you can see how the color gets more red and a bit darker at the end. So yes, that is how the sunsets look like in reserve. Definitely looks beautiful. Then moving on to Shoreline, we are on top of the weather station, on top of the tower, whatever weather, it's not weather balloon, right? You can see the dome and the dome/queens there in the distance. Resort was also in that direction, and now we're facing north, and that's where we have the sunrise coming up. And this time it is in the southeast. And again, it's not quite south, it's not quite east, but it's more in the southeast region. And to speed up the timeline a bit, there we go, it's getting brighter. Sun is actually rising from that direction. We didn't look into that specific sunrise too much because we wanted to go and take the same recording on Woods. Here we are on the southeast side of the map, standing on top of the rocks. Customs would be there in the direction of those towers and such. And here we have the sunset coming from this direction, and it's also in the southeast direction. So that seems to be correct too. And doing the speeding up process, you can see how it gets brighter. So yes, this is the direction of the sunrise. So, do they all add up? We got all of the sunrises from the southeast and all of the sunsets to the southwest side of the map. So if we take a look into a website called suncalc.org, here we can take a look at the sun setting, sun rising times, angles for a certain date, and we'll take a look into, for example, January 1st in Moscow area, since good estimation where about the Tarkov universe would be located. I guess it would be a bit more north and somewhere there, but I don't know. We're using now Moscow for now. So, as you could see, during the January, the sunset sunrise direction is actually in the southeast, southwest directions. And so that seems to be adding up. I'm not going into that much detail that actually go into figuring out what is the actual angle of the sunrise and sunset in the Tarkov universe, and then trying to figure out what the exact time of year it would be in real life, because it would always be wrong, because I don't really have the actual geographic location where Tarkov is in compared to the globe. So, but for the sake of the argument, is the sunset sunrises accurate in Tarkov? And to me, it seems like yes. Of course, Russia is one of those countries that is in the northern hemisphere, so the change in where the sunsets and sunrises are the changes are so erratic based on time of the year. So because of it could be actually kind of easy to determine what is the time of the year when you're playing Tarkov. But for the sake of the argument, it seems like it's somewhere in the late fall or early spring, maybe. Arguably, I would call that the sunrise sunset is accurate on Tarkov. Lastly, I would like to talk about a bit about the open world. Does it make sense? Basically, if we figure out the compass orientation of the factory and how the customs and interchange are orientated between themselves, if we get those quirks figured out and the exact names of the woods, then I think we pretty much could have a open world Tarkov where all of the maps are making sense. Currently they're really close. Outside of those few quirks that mentioned, it seems like a plausible and realistic something. What do you call it? Well, that's just what it does make sense. So, final verdicts about the video. It was kind of funny comment in the Reddit that I got on my post saying, never thought adding a compass to Tarkov would be making the navigation harder. And I kind of need to agree with that one. It definitely is simpler now than it used to be. And since we have the compass, we can always say that this is the true north. But I wouldn't call it at this point for any of the maps, or at least Factory specifically. I wouldn't call that the north is necessarily correct. It could be changed in the future. We will see how it goes, but currently how things seem like, well, as of now, I'll be using the north, how the compass points it, and if it changes, and we need to adjust to it. I don't know why all of the maps of Tarkov don't follow the same orientation between themselves, but at least now you know, they don't. So, did you enjoy the video? If you did, leave a like. If you have questions or comments in general, leave them there too, since they help with the YouTube algorithm and all that jazz. And you might be asking, what did actually happen with the clip we started with, and let's roll it. Oh, by the way, you should totally go and check out my Twitch channel where I stream Tarkov every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. Well, I stream mostly Tarkov, but sometimes I might be streaming something else.
Through the fence?
He's right of the... He's towards
Blue?
the tower, towards the tower.
Towards the tower, okay.
What the f...
Where?
He killed me. He pushed through that door.
Shit. This is why I said what a shitty idea.
The guy didn't even have a gun on his hand.